A happy morning to you all aspirants. Welcome to the Civilspedia's Daily Current Affairs Analysis, brought to you by Shankar IAS Academy. And in this video, we are going to discuss some of the articles as well as the current affairs which are very relevant to the date of 30th of August 2025. And hope you are all the subscribers of Shankar IAS Academy YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe and click the bell icon to receive the on-time notification. And the topics taken for today's discussion are: the first topic is the bird survey which was recently held in the city of Hyderabad, and the second topic is the light pollution and its potential impact on the health of human beings as well as its relevance to the dwindling in population of firefly species. And the third topic is the women's safety and the national annual report and index on women's safety 2025. And the fifth topic is the India-China border talks which was held recently. And the fifth topic is the Prelims Focus, where we discuss the current affairs which are very relevant to the UPSC prelims preparation in a quick and short manner. Before getting into the today's discussion, there is a quick and small announcement to make, because Shankar IAS Academy is going to kickstart a new UPSC prelims test series under pre-storming, and the batch 1 starts on 4th of September 2025. It will be of 46 tests and it will be very helpful and useful for the UPSC prelims preparation, and you are all encouraged to take the test and register yourself for the test to get the exact simulation of UPSC prelims test pattern. In the recent bird survey taken in the city of Hyderabad shows the contrary, that the species of most commonly found in and around the city was in dwindling numbers, but the uncommon species of birds which was found in and around Hyderabad was in abundance. This shows the contrary of the dwindling numbers of the most common species as well as the increase in the population of uncommon species in that region. And this was taken under the Hyderabad's Bird Atlas of 2025, which is a bird survey taken seasonally for the study and the distribution of bird species or the bird population in and around the Hyderabad. And the second survey of this Hyderabad Bird Atlas 2025 will shows the data that only the 5 bird species are to be found extensively distributed around the city of Hyderabad. And what are all the 5 distributed species of birds in and around the city of Hyderabad is that the rock pigeon, red-vented bulbul, Asclepias, spotted dove and the purple sunbird. And what are the feeding mechanism of this bird and what makes them to thrive and make the population abundance in the city of Hyderabad will be discussed in the further section. And the first species was the rock pigeon, which is identified as least concern in the IUCN data list, and which is a primary consumer of the grain which was provided by the people. And the nest of this rock pigeon has been found along the structures or the infrastructures of the Hyderabad city, which makes them to thrive on the high-rise buildings also. And what makes the population of this species more abundance, because it lacks, the city of Hyderabad lacks the primary predator of this rock pigeon, will make them abundance in the city. And also the other reason for its abundance in population, because the rock pigeon feeds its chicks with the pigeon's milk, that it ingurgitates the grains provided by the people and convert into milk, and it provided to the children, make them more abundance, because it indirectly provides food to the chickens, which was the offshoots of this rock pigeon, make them abundance. And the second species is the red-vented bulbul, which is also identified as least concern in the IUCN data list, which primarily feeds on fruits, insects, as well as the nectar of flowers. And the peculiar feature of this red-vented bulbul is that it primarily primarily eats the berries which was found along the invasive species called Lantana camara, or the lantana bushes, which is found along the Hyderabad city, will make them abundance in that region. And it is also found to be highly adaptable to the environment or the changing environment. And the third species is that the spotted dove, which is also identified as least concern in the IUCN data list, which primarily feeds on the seeds, and it also be in competition with the rock pigeon. Even though it got the competition from the rock pigeon, it survives because it perches on wires, trees as well as buildings, and it is also an highly adaptable bird with respect to the changing environment. And the fourth species is Ashipirnia, which is also identified as least concern, and this is also a primary feeder of insects, and it also thrives on the small vegetation cover, as well as it primarily feeds on the garbages of landfills and as well as the garbage of the urban areas. And this species nest has been, and this Ashipernia will be an loud species which sound will be loud, and it can be frequently visible in and around the areas of Hyderabad. And the fifth species is purple sunbird. As the beak of the species, we can easily infer that it is an primary feeder of nectar as well as insects, as its beak structure or the beak's evolution will be based on the extraction of nectar from the flower, and it is also identified as least concern in the IUCN data list. And the nest of this purple sunbird can be found on the urban green areas or the urban green bushes, which is found very dwindling in the Hyderabad, and it can easily thrive on that greener areas, and it uses the camouflaging mechanism to hide its nest from other predators. So it also found in the abundance in the Hyderabad city. And what makes this bird survey as well as the species of birds important is that it can be easily asked in the UPSC prelims by simply stating the species name and found along which that is the which organism whom which the primary species belongs. It can be asked in the UPSC prelims. And what is the major reason for the decline of the most common species found along the Hyderabad city? And is that the commonly found species of birds such as partridges and quails needs the rocky as well as grassy areas, which was found in dwindling in numbers because of the urban expansion in Hyderabad. And the water hens, munias and snipe species of birds used to thrive in the fields as well as ponds, which is also in dwindling numbers, or the dwindling in areas of this water areas, so that it cannot be populated in that area, which will eventually migrate to some other area. And the larks, pipits and harriers, which needs the open wetlands and grasslands, which also under the shrinking phase because of the expansion of urban areas as well as the rising infrastructure makes them to dwindle. And the ducks and their predator, that is the peregrine falcon, has been vanishing from that area because of the shrinking of lake as well as the wetlands, and other infrastructure expansion is also the primary reason for the declining number of this species. And the earlier found species was distributed because of their adaptability as well as the to the highly adaptable to the changing environment that the urban space is considering. And what are the action needs to be taken to conserve this bad species is to first to protect the wetland as well as the grassland ecosystem, as the Hyderabad region found loss around 55% of its wetland between 1970 to 2014 is the drastic numbers of dwindling in wetland. And the lake area also found to be reduced by 61 percentage, which is very greater in number with respect to the water area or the reservoir area between 1979 to 2023. And the second action need to taken to conserve the bird species is to promote the native vegetation or to increase the vegetative cover over the urban space, that the which will eventually lead to the increase in number of specialist birds which decline due to the loss of food plants as well as the water habitats it earlier invoked. And the third mission or the third action needs to be taken to increase the bird population or to conserve the bird species is that to build the green corridor areas to or to increase the infrastructure or the structure to make them more thriving and adaptable to the bird species also. As the status of bird with respect to the Telangana state bird, Indian roller, which will be eventually declining in numbers, that the decline in population was around 30 to 35% in the past 10 years, and it can be found only in the 22 sites of 720 sites has been identified in the Hyderabad in the recent survey. And the other major action needs to be taken is that the reduction in the pollution, as well as the landfillings and the dumping of wastage in that area will eventually lead to the rise of the bird species population. And the final major reason is the final major action is the involvement of citizen, or the involvement of other NGOs, as well as the people to people interaction to conserve the bird species is also an primary action to conserve the bird species, as the study suggests that 452 bird species has been recorded in the regions of Telangana, and the species of various other species has been thriving in the field research, as well as the citizens effort has been more prominent. And the recently documented Hyderabad bird atlas has been estimated around 67,000 of bird species found across the 195 species, and which will cover only around 11% of the city's area. With this, we move to the next section. This cartoonified news article is about the light pollution and its impact on the dwindling numbers of firefly population. And this news article is taken from The Hindu. With this article, we are going to know about what is light pollution and its impact over the population of fireflies, and it also has the potential impact on the human health too. And the basic definition of light pollution is that the light pollution refers to the excessive or misdirected or obtrusive artificial light that disrupts the natural darkness is considered to be the light pollution. And the light which is artificial in nature and it is obtrusive in nature, as well as the misdirected artificial light, is also considered to be the causative of this light pollution, and it affects the human health, ecosystem, astronomy, as well as the energy efficiency of a region or as a nation as a whole. And some of the most light polluted countries in the world are categorized or identified as Singapore, Qatar, and Kuwait. And here we can see the pictorial representation of a region with having the highest influence of light pollution within that area, and we can easily distinguish in the picture that we have the easy distinction. This area belongs to less light pollution, as it has the less influence of light over this region, and it is morely of pure in nature with a visible dark sky. And this area is having the more influence of light and having more light pollution in that area, as we cannot see able to see the visible dark sky in that region, and it has been categorized from 0 to 7 in the scale of darkness or the having light pollution in that region. And what the light pollution are categorized or distinguished into four types, that are the glare, sky glow, light trespass, as well as clutter. And the glare is the excessive brightness causing visual discomfort as we feel in the closed environment where we have the more light apart from the adequate light. It is considered to be glare. We can see that glare in some occasions of studios where we find more lighting in that closed environment, which leads to that light pollution in that area. And the sky glow is the brightening of night sky over inhabited area, blocking views of stars. As we can see this sky glow in mostly constructed region, as well as the infrastructure with skyrise building with more number of lighting in that area will make the sky glow with artificial light. As we see in the pictorial representation, with the high rise building with over lighting will lead to the obstruction of visible light over that area, and we cannot able to see the dark sky in the present environment of high rise buildings. So it is considered a sky glow. And the third category is the third type is the light trespass, that the light falling where it is not intended, that it is not properly shielded, or it is not focused on particular area as the light was intended to be flow. This for example, this was majorly seen on the street light, which will have the influence on homes, which disrupts the sleeping activity of that home, and it trespasses the light, which makes the human discomfort on that area. And the clutter is the fourth type of light pollution, where we can see the excessive grouping of lights, creating confusion over that area, as we can see in the urban areas, that in this the clutter of that region was more of numbers of light which was about to be the par level of the lighting that needs to that area was more. So we can easily identify that this area is provided with the clutter of lights that leads to the light pollution. And what are the causes or the reason for this light pollution is that the unregulated and excessive use of street lights, that needs to be street light needs to be placed in an adequate distance. By breaching this adequate measures, we can easily create a light pollution over that area. And the amount of billboards that needs to be for a certain area needs to be regulated. If it is unregulated, it will also lead to light pollution. And the floodlight over the region is also a primary reason for light pollution over that area. And this floodlight can be used in sports ground and other areas of major activity in nature. And the urbanization, the rising urbanizing population and the extension of this urban area is also lead to the light pollution to a greater extent. And the lifestyle changes that we humans are adapting to the 24 bar 7 lifestyle, that is we work even though in the night time also. So it also lead to the generation of light, which eventually led to the light pollution. And the led light proliferation without the proper shielding, as we discussed in that previous slide, that the not properly shielding of light to which it intend to be flow will also lead to a light pollution. And the lack of awareness and the policy regulation, as we have not as the India has not properly implemented the regulation for providing light over that region, is also a major concern. And the lack of awareness among the people is also an major concern towards the rising population, rising level of light pollution over the region. And what is the impact of this light pollution is that we cannot easily get to know about this light pollution's effect over the human health, because it affects the human health more in impact, because it creates the vision damage, as well as it also affects the circadian rhythm of that is the biological clock of the humans, which will create stress over the human body and the human health too. And the second is the environment, that it eventually affects the life of the nocturnal animals, as well as the animals which are having predation in night. So it also creates the environment disaster, because it will affect the ecosystem as well as the wildlife in common. And it also has the greater impact on flora, that is plant species too, because some species of plant will active during night, so it also affects the flora of that region too. And the astronomy is also greatly affected through this light pollution, as it disrupts the natural vision or the natural dark sky by the astronomers, by disrupting the light of that region. And the energy is also wasted in that region, because high amount of light pollution needs high amount of energy, and it also leads to excessive use of energy on that region, and it eventually help to rise the global warming, as well as the other impact on climates. And what are the impact of light pollution on the fireflies is the major theme that is discussed in the cartoonified article, that it disrupts the mating signal, as we discussed in the earlier slide, that some animals thrive during the night time, that like the fireflies, it also mate during the night time, so it disrupts the mating signals provided by the fireflies during that night, which was seen by the opposite gender through that darkness. So if the area of that habitat of this fireflies got lighted up, it cannot able to receive the signal provided by the male mate for mating, so it disrupt the mating cycle, which will eventually lead to the decline in population of this fireflies. And it also led to the altered behavior, that it has to shift to some other place for its lifestyle or its habitat. And it also will lead to the shorter span of darkness that was available for them to thrive. And the habitat loss is the major factor, that the increase in the lighting area of that region will eventually evade the species of fireflies from that area, which will have the impact on the habitat of the species. And the increased predation, if the light is more, or the lighting area is more, it will lead to the easy identification of this fireflies in that region, and it will also lead to the predating activities over this species. And the population decline will caused by all the four factors that we discussed earlier in the same slide. And what is the India's context with respect to light pollution is that the Handley Park in Ladakh is considered to be the India's first dark sky reserve, which was established in the year of 2022. And the Pench Tiger Reserve was in Maharashtra, has become the India's first dark sky park and the fifth in Asia to be established, and has been recognized for protecting the night sky from light pollution, as it has the less influence of artificial light as well as the lighting in that area, and thereby making the facility ideal for astronomy enthusiasts to observe the astronomical objects as well as the other space related objects in that region. And as we discussed in the earlier slide, there is no dedicated legislation in India with regarding the light pollution, and the increasing urban sprawl over the region will lead to more sky glow, that is increasing heavy rise, tall rise buildings and infrastructures will lead to the overlighting of that area, and eventually lead to the light pollution on that area. The overlighted or the urban sprawl has been found along the Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore are the most worst affected region in the Indian territory. And what are the mitigation strategies that needs to be taken to eliminate or to reduce the light pollution over that region is that the usage of shielded lights will eventually lead to the decline of light pollution, and the promotion of LED lights with warmer colors will lead to the less emission of light, and the smart lighting capacity, which will eventually lead to the decrease in number of light pollution. And the awareness campaign needs to be taken to every people of that region, and the policy of dark sky reserves that needs to be established to make the in a region less influence with artificial lighting, and the integration of light pollution in the environmental impact assessment is also an greater will provide a greater impact over the region for emitting less amount of light. With this, we move to the next topic. This news article taken from The Hindu is also based on the recent survey and the report released thereof. And this recent report was known as the National Annual Report on and Index on Women's Safety. And with this article, we are going to discuss about the women's safety factors as well as the National Commission for Women and the National Annual Report and Index on Women's Safety 2025 in the further section. And with respect to this report released, the cities has been categorized in the Indian cities has been categorized as the safest city, and the city who got the top rank are considered to be the safest in India are Kohima, Visakhapatnam, Bhubaneswar, Aizawl, Gangtok, Itanagar, and Mumbai. And the lowest placed cities, or the cities which got the lowest rank, are Patna, Jaipur, Faridabad, Delhi, Kolkata, Srinagar, and Ranchi. And the survey was based on the women community, and the survey was taken around 12,770 women across 31 cities, 31 Indian cities. And it also has a safety score of national safety score, which considered which categorized the 65% of cities. And it also has the classification factors such as much above, below, much below, or the benchmarks which are to be considered to classify the city as the safest or unsafe city for women. And it also has two main factors, that is the positive correlation or the negative correlation. And the positive correlation is of positive aspects which are to be considered to be the safest cities, the cities which consider the, or which has the positive correlation or considered to be the safest cities, and vice versa the negative correlation. And the positive correlation has the certain factors such as the involvement of stronger gender equity among the region or the society, and the civic participation, women friendly infrastructure in that region. And it also the infrastructures like the government buildings as well as the public infrastructure which has the women friendly infrastructure, and the necessities that the women need in the society, which was to be considered as the positive correlation. And will be a better policing mechanism for the ensure of safety to the women. And the negative correlation or the negative aspects involves the patriarchal norms which was deep rooted in the region or the deep rooted in a society, and the poor urban infrastructure which is very directly proportionate or the directly opposite to the women friendly infrastructure, and the weak institutional responsiveness to the any violence or any other negative with respect to the women's action in the society. And moving to the National Annual Report and Index on Women's Safety, that is NARI 2020-25, it is being considered by institutions like PV Analytics, North Cap University, Jindal Global Law School, etc. And this has been published by group of intellectuals and academicians, which is shortly called as GIA. And the purpose of releasing this annual report on women's safety is to integrate the perception based survey on women and their safety in their society, along with their overlay of official crime data from the NCRB, and it to provide which will eventually provide the more accurate reflection of women's lived experience in the society or India as a whole. And it also highlights the urban rural difference and the livelihood of the women or the nature of women's persistence in the society will be easily derived from this annual report. And it also elicits the institutional responsiveness towards the women's safety in the society and the perception of social norms with respect to women, also the infrastructural support given to the women in the society. And moving to the National Commission for Women, the National Commission for Women is not a constitutional body. We have to keep it in mind that it has been established as a statutory body, and the legal basis of this National Commission for Women has been provided or established under the National Commission for Women Act of 1992, and it has been came into existence in 1992 by the Act of Parliament. And the composition of this National Commission for Women will be of a chairperson with 5 members, and along with the member secretary who is being appointed by the central government. And the key feature or the important thing to note in this is that the 5 members will be consisting of there is a mandate, there need to be inclusion of a person from SC, or that is the scheduled caste or scheduled tribe community, needs to be a participant or be a member of this National Commission for Women, that 5 members. And also the tenure of this National Commission for Women members will be of 3 years in nature. And with respect to the mandate and function of this National Commission for Women, it has been established to safeguard the rights of women, and it also has the mandate to review the constitutional and legal safeguards provided in this legal framework, as well as it has the provision or it has the power, it has the mandate to advise government on policy matters which are very relevant or affecting the women's existence in the society. And it also has the power to inquire into complaints, or it has to involve in the matter of complaints taken against the taken in the women context. And it also has to power to take suo motu notice of gender based violence. And the powers of this National Commission for Women involves the powers, it has the power of civil court, which is being the power to summon and the collection of evidence, and it has the power to recommend amendments to the existing laws which are affecting the existence of women in the society. And it also has the power to inspect jails, remand homes, and recommend reforms regarding the women's welfare. With this, we move to the next topic. This news article taken from The Hindu is about the border talks which is recently concluded between India and China. With this article, we are going to discuss about the strategic significance and the other aspects related to the China and India ties. And in the recently concluded border talks, the consensus has been achieved between both the nations, and the consensus achieved was the 10-point consensus, and it has been the prominence and the prominent consensus agreed between both the nations, or the agreement to utilize existing border management and control mechanism through diplomatic and military channels has been came into forefront. And the decision to set up an expert group under the WMCC, that is Working Mechanism for Consultation and Coordination, has been established for the early harvest of boundary delimitation between both the nations. And it also has the establishment, or both sides has been agreed to jointly safeguard peace and tranquility in border areas, that is not involving in aggressive activities in the border areas between both the nations, as well as the prohibition of violence in that area. And the consensus achieved was also has the establishment or the emphasizing of mutual respect between both the nations and the peaceful coexistence of both the nations. And the common development is the forefront or the forefeature of this consensus, or the boundary talks core value. And there has been prominent of win-win cooperation for each nations in the forefront. And what is the broader strategic significance with respect to India, and it is from the Indian point of view, is that it has stalled the boundary resolution between both the nations, that India has been frequently in coordination with the China to establish the peaceful border for both the nations. And the India has claimed, or India's point of view of area which is under the claim or dispute was between both the nations was around 3,488 kilometers, and the Chinese claim, or the Chinese claim of area to be under dispute between both the nations was around 2,000 kilometers. And it has been categorized, or it has been in existence in the regions of western, middle, and eastern sectors of both the regions. And there has been a 24 round of talks has been conducted since 2003, and a special representative from both the nations has been participating in the talks to establish the border area to become a more peaceful one. But it has not come into conclusion, or the dispute has not been come into resolution, but it has been in constantly helping in to maintaining dialogue between both the nations. And what is the context after 2020 is that uh, even though both the nations was in frequent confrontation before 2020, but there will be only limited amount of confrontation. But after the Galvan Valley clash, which was happened in the June of 2020, will lead to the more frequent dispute or more aggression between both the nations regarding the border areas. And the first fatality has been happened after 1975 in the line of actual control, that is the border area between India and China, which was the earliest confrontation zone between India and China. Since then, since the context or the since the confrontation of Galvan Valley, multiple round of military commander level talks has been conducted and diplomatic engagements has been infrequently conducted for the disengagement and de-escalation on that area to make it more peaceful. But the friction point was remained the same because of the military personnel's activities and the Chinese aggression over the border areas. And the example of that frequent confrontation zones are the Depsang Plains and the Jamchok area was under frequent confrontation. And what is the significance is that recently India and China has concluded or the commemorated the 75 years of diplomatic ties between both the nations, that from 1950 to 2025 is the period which the India and China has the diplomatic relations. And India is the one of the first nation to recognize the people recognition of China in the year of 1950. Since then, it has been the first nation to non-communist nation or the non-communist country to recognize the communist nation of China, and it has the relationship since then. And the friendship was under conflict, and by then and then there has been a conflict between both the nations. That the conflict has initially occurred in the 1962 war, and the reapproachment from the Indian nations by the 1988, that the activity or the engagement taken by the former Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi's visit to China, and the economic engagement between both the nations has been in soar from 2000 itself. And China and India has been in a strategic rivalry position between the post 2010 era. And what is the global dimension or the geopolitical dimension with respect to India and China's border dispute is that India has insisted the peace at borders in is essential for normal bilateral ties. That for a normal bilateral tie between both the nation, India is focusing more on peace over the border areas because it has been the region of engagement between both the nations, so it has to be in a peaceful manner. But Chinese point of view was different because it delinks the boundary dispute from the other bilateral relationships. So it disengages the link of boundary dispute apart from the other bilateral engagements and push for economic and diplomatic engagement despite having tension over that area. And it also has the talk over the amidst India's growing strategic alignment with the US, Quad countries or the Quad organization, and the IPEF also has, sorry, Indo-Pacific Economic Forum has also been a point of concern for the Chinese over the Indian territory or the India's engagement with other nations. And what is the border management mechanism that involves in the process of de-escalation or the disengagement over the border dispute is that the establishment of that working group or the working mechanism for the cooperation and coordination, which has been established in 2022, a diplomatic platform to manage the border incidents. And there is an agreement called the Border Defense Cooperation Agreement, which was involved in the year of 2013, which is a framework to troop conduct along the line of actual control. And there is a mechanism called the military commander level talks has been invoked between both the nations. Around 21 rounds of talks has been conducted since 2020 to address this de-engagement or disengagement or de-escalation. And the most prominent one is the trade and economic relevance or the with respect to both the nations, that in despite tensions in the region, China has been the prominent one or the prominent nation to India, that the India's largest trading partner, and in the year of 2024, around 118 billions of trade has been conducted between both the nations, with India's deficit around $80 billion to the nation of China. But the with comparatively to the $118 billion of trade from China to India. It is taken from the Ministry of Commerce data from the official website, and the trade resilience reflects the compartmentalization, as we discussed earlier, that the Chinese delinking of this border dispute apart from strategic and economic engagement will create a compartmentalization effect on economics and security cooperation. And the regional and global angle of this both the nations border dispute is that the stability on the border area is the key for India's Act East policy. From the India's perspective, stability over the border area between both the India and China will lead to the proper implementation or the proper focusing of Act East policy, and it has been a channel of connectivity between Northeast Indian region and the countering the India's Chinese influence over the South Asian regions or the South Asian nations like Nepal, Bhutan, Sri Lanka, Maldives, etc. And the both the nations are members of BRICS SCO, that is Shanghai Cooperation Organization G20, requiring pragmatic engagement despite difference. That these organizations or the multilateral organizations involves both the nations' participation in a cohesive manner to for the better development of global perspective. With this, we move to the next topic. And the next topic is the prelims focus, where we discuss the content which was one line in nature but are more relevant to the UPSC prelims preparation. And the first topic of prelims focus is that the observation of World Sanskrit Day of 2025, as it observed annually on the day of Shravan Purnima, which will be falls on August month, and it was observed during or observed based on the Hindu lunar calendar. And the date of this World Sanskrit Day coincide with the festivals like Raksha Bandhan and Upakarma. And the primary aim of this observation of this World Sanskrit Day is to promote its learning, that the learning of Sanskrit needs to be promoted, and the preservation of its cultural heritage. Its root upon, as the Sanskrit is considered to be the one of the world's oldest language in the world, and it also needs to be highlights its relevant to that modern time itself. And the second topic is the National Deworming Day, or the campaign associated with deworming of children's. And it was launched in the year of 2015, and the campaign was conducted by the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare in and across the Indian territory. And it was conducted biannually on the 10th of February as well as the 10th of August. The primary aim of this observation of deworming day, National Deworming Day, is to deworm all the preschool and the school age children who are both enrolled as well as non-enrolled children need to be covered under this National Deworming Day, and they are to be between the ages of 1 to 19 years of age. Children are categorized or focused on this campaign, and this campaign was conducted through schools and Anganwadi centers by providing chewable albendazole tablets. And this albendazole is an effective dosage of medication that deworms the children by eliminating or preventing them from infections through parasitic worms. And the third is the albendazole, as we discussed in the earlier slide, that this albendazole is an anthelmintic medication that needs to be or used to treat the parasitic worm infections among the children, and it can also be intaken by the matured adult also. And the primary function of this albendazole tablet or the albendazole medication is to prevent the formation of worms from absorbing the sugar from the human body, which will eventually lead to the loss of energy to that worm and get died of this parasitic worm. And the primary diagnosis of this albendazole, or the albendazole is used to treat or to eliminate various worm infections such as pork tapeworms, dog tapeworms, roundworms, and hookworms, threadworms, etc. from the human infections. Prevention of human from this type of worm infections and other parasitic infections. And the fourth topic in the prelims focus was the Run Samvad 2025, and it is first of its kind tri-service seminar on war welfare, war fighting at the Army War College of Madhya Pradesh. As it is a seminar type of discussion which was based on the war and war methods and the warfare activities in the modern times, and the war fighting needs to be taken in the modern evolving times. And the primary aim of this Run Samvad 2025 seminar is to enhance the interaction between multilateral parties or the multi-sectoral parties, and the communication establishment and the cooperation between multi-parties involved in this Run Samvad seminar, and among the military communities who are involved in this process on issues critical and war fighting in the evolving times. And the primary theme of this Run Samvad is to information warfare and the grey zone threats to integrated operations, and future combat technologies are to be discussed in this seminar. And the fifth topic of this prelims focus was the section 152 of Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, which was earlier called as Indian Penal Code, and the section 152 deals with the protection of national security and to prevent activities that could harm the country's integrity as well as sovereignty, and the encouragement of disunity has been identified and booked under this offence. And the offence committed by an individual was based on the activities of endangering sovereignty, unity as well as the integrity of India, and it is under this if a person or individual got booked under this 152 section 152 of Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, it is considered to be cognizable and non-bailable in nature, and the coverage of this section 152 will be on the basis of secession, armed rebellion, and the subversive activities taken by an individual or an subject of any person, and the punishment was imprisonment for life or the imprisonment of 7 years and with a fine. With this, we come to the conclusion of this session. And hope you guys like the video. Please share your positive comments and the suggestions in the comment section given below, and share the video to your friends. Please subscribe to the Shankar IAS Academy YouTube channel if you haven't subscribed yet, and click the bell icon to receive the on-time notification, and please stay in touch with us. Thank you. Have a good day.